to the GavGoesIn podcast. Guys, uh, oh my God, where do we fucking start with this? Where do we start? Guys, big up yourselves, man. Where do we start with this fucking team? I mean, first off, let's talk about Rasmus Højlund. Guys, I've just witnessed, and big up DXR, big up Reluctant Gamer. Guys, I've just witnessed arguably one of the worst strikers' performance I've ever seen in my life. You know, I cannot believe this guy actually lasted 90 minutes. Rasmus Højlund. And I'm just getting to I'm going to get to the other stuff as well, guys, yeah? But I want to start with Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund played 90 minutes, guys, yeah? And that was nothing short of an embarrassment of a performance as a striker. I mean, guys, tell me what he does right. First of all, tell me what he does right. You know, he cannot hold the ball up. He cannot run the channels. He gets bullied off the ball. I think Tosin Adarabioyo dominated him from start to finish. This is a guy that cost 72 million. And that was arguably the worst performance I've seen in my life from a striker. And again, guys, I don't want to hear no one tell me about Rasmus Højlund doesn't get chances. He deserves another chance next season. Get this guy out the club. He's fucking shit. He's crap. Like, I've never seen a player like it in my life. And to think that he's wearing the number 9 shirt, you know, to think that this fan base wanted to hound out Anthony Martial in favour of Rasmus Højlund. Like, it's an absolute disgrace. I'm telling you, an absolute disgrace. That's the first thing. Guys, I will get back to your comments after, but I have to just vent some frustration, you know. That is 17 losses in the league now for Ruben Amorim, 13 losses for him. As I said, guys, I couldn't give a shit about the Europa League. Get this manager out the club. Get him out the club, you know. If United win another trophy on Wednesday, then so be it. But get this guy out the club. He's fucking shit. I mean, to think that he played Mazraoui and Patrick Dorgu, who again are gonna start the final. To think that this manager played Mazraoui and Dorgu 90 minutes, yeah, and then Wednesday they're gonna have a whole lot to do again, and this manager doesn't even think to even rest them, you know. Again, I don't know what this manager's playing at, but them wing-back positions require a lot of running. Both of them players are gonna be doing a lot of running come the final. So you mean to tell me that this manager doesn't even take off one of either Dorgu or Nusem Mazraoui and plays them 90 minutes? Again, this manager, there's massive question marks that have to be asked of this manager, because for him to play Dorgu and Mazraoui 90 minutes, again, either he's trying to sabotage this team on purpose, or the guy doesn't have a fucking clue what he's doing. That's the second thing. Third thing is, guys, what I mentioned. To think that he played this lineup, you know, I thought he was going to play a changed lineup. You know, I thought I was going to see Harry Amas play. I thought Fredrickson might have got a game. You know, Kobe might have started the game. You know, to think that this manager played Onana in goal, a back three of Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Mazraoui and Dorgu as the wing-backs. In midfield, Bruno, Casemiro, and then up front, the two tens in Ahmad and Mount, and then Højlund as the striker. No Cheeto. Cheeto didn't come on. You know, I don't know. I don't know what to say, man. And I did say, guys, if United lost this game, going into the final, it's going to be poor preparation, you know, and the team will go in there with less confidence going into this final, you know. This manager has one more game, and I don't mean one more game to save his job, because for me, his job is done. He has one more game until Ineos, for me, have to just pull the plug on this manager. What an absolute embarrassment of a performance. And guys, first of all, this game was shit. what a shit game, you know. A game that is advertised as an 8:15 kickoff, Premier League football. You know, I know Chelsea won the game in the end, but two teams you would say are renowned for being two of the top teams in the league. And what a shit game that was. That was one of the worst games I've watched, you know. And the only bit of quality came from Reece James. Again, Reece James, for me, on his day, is the best right back in the world, easily, you know. The amount of quality he has, if he stays fit, there ain't a better right back in the game than Reece James. Facts, you know. And he produced two bits of quality: the strike that hit the post, and then the assist for Cucurella's goal. But this manager, guys, get him out the club. Get him out the club, Ineos. Ineos, if you wanna do something good, you have to relieve this manager at the end of the season. Another loss, 17 losses, 12 for him, as I said. But I'm more interested in, he played a strong team. He played more or less the team he's going to play against against Tottenham in the final on Wednesday, with probably, he might say, one or two players that's available might come back in. Dorgu and Mazraoui, as I said, playing 90 minutes. Rasmus Højlund putting in one of the worst performances I've ever seen, 90 minutes. You mean to tell me Cheeto couldn't even come on and get like at least 5-10 minutes? Disgrace. Ahmad, he's played 90 minutes. Again, Ahmad's going to play in the final, but you're risking Ahmad's someone who's only just come back from injury. Madness. Absolute madness. On the whole, as I said, the game was poor, you know, and you know, United got one disallowed Harry Maguire finish, which was offside. But other than that, United didn't create anything. They didn't create nothing. And guys, if you watched my stream earlier today, I did tell you, Moises Caicedo, how the fuck he wasn't included in Team of the Season? Today was proof. And again, Caicedo wasn't at his absolute best, because I've seen him play better, but he was easily the best player on the pitch. And that just shows you, like, how he wasn't included in Team of the Season, you know? It's an absolute joke. And as I said, I'm not going to go through it again, but we all know why he wasn't included. But as I said, like, what a joke. Guys, I will get back to your comments in the chat after. But big up yourselves anyway. We got 7 likes in there, guys, so big up yourselves. And again, if you haven't smashed that like button, make sure you do. And make sure you subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn. I will go through your questions in a minute. So, in terms of the performances, you know, I'm not going to run through it too much because, to be honest with you, there wasn't too many great performances, really. You know, I thought Onana in goal, you know, him coming out to try and stop Tyreek George, even though it was a dive, you know, I don't really know why Onana needed to go and do that personally, because Tyreek George was going away from goal and he's given the referee something to think about. But on the whole, the goal we couldn't really do much with. Reece James' strike, again, he had no chance with that. Just an okay performance, not really too much to write home about. The back three, you know, that back three is an accident waiting to happen. You know, to think that Lindelof, Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire are still at the club and those three played. Again, I'm not going to go too much in on them, but I mean, I just want to see these guys moved on at the end of the season. Again, Lindelof will be moved on. He'll be going on the free. But if Maguire's starting games and if Luke Shaw's starting games, there's massive problems with this club, you know. So, again, I'm not going to go in too much on them three, but those three shouldn't be playing. Like, they shouldn't be at the club, you know. If we're being serious, probably one of them is a backup. But other than that, those three have been in the club for too long and they're still surviving, which I don't understand, you know. Mazraoui and Patrick Dorgu, you know what? I actually feel sorry for both players because, again, they're going to be playing, you would think, on Wednesday. And the amount of running they're going to have to get through in that final, you know, because let's face it, the wide players for Tottenham will be testing them, you know, and they'll be fresh because I think Son will start. And obviously Brennan Johnson, I think, will start as well. And Brennan Johnson obviously didn't start today's game. But the fact that Mazraoui and Dorgu played 90 minutes, as I said, this manager needs to hang his head in shame, because there was no excuse to not take at least one of them off or play at least one of them for 45 minutes. And again, the way that they're using Patrick Dorgu, I don't like, because Patrick Dorgu, we know he has physicality, but he's just being used as a runner, and the amount of times that, as shit as Højlund is, the amount of times that, Højlund, Ahmad, when he's there, even any of the attacking players, the amount of times they are isolated with two players around them, again, is a system flaw. Because the fact that this manager hasn't identified that yet is an absolute disgrace. Those players are always isolated with two players around them. And again, as shit as Højlund and Garnacho are, they're still having two players to beat at every time. And again, that is a system flaw with this manager, which he hasn't even bothered to even rectify, Another thing why he needs to leave the club for me. In midfield, Casemiro and Bruno. Again, Casemiro showed his experience. There was one important interception that he done. I think Madueke put it across in the first half and Cas just got a toe to it. But again, Casemiro is going to be starting that final. Didn't really do too much wrong, Personally, I would have rested him completely for this game. But he come off, and obviously we can expect to see him obviously in the final. Bruno Fernandes, again, put the ball in for Harry Maguire, which was ruled out for offside. But again, Bruno Fernandes, another underwhelming game against, a better opponent, which is what I've said when he was getting the praise earlier on in the season. And the problem, what I hate about Bruno Fernandes, is that this guy has a habit, and I've been saying this for time, guys, yeah? Bruno Fernandes has a habit of, whenever he fucks up a shot, a pass, or loses the ball, he always puts his hands up in the air to try and blame someone else. This is the captain of Man United, and the guy just passes the buck at every opportunity. It's always someone else's fault but his. There was one bit where Ahmad played him the ball, and Bruno blasted the ball over the goal. Now the funny thing is with that is that even if Ahmad did delay the pass, you still don't need to blast the ball that hard over the bar. Like, it didn't make any sense, Any decent player, if they're thinking the ball's coming back to them, you just get your foot on the ball and you try and work another opening. But again, Bruno Fernandes isn't press resistant. So what he does when he gets pressed, the first thing he thinks is just have a shot or just put the ball in the area. And the fact that he done that and put it over the bar and then go and blame Amad Diallo, again, this is why this guy is not a captain. And this is why this guy, for me, will always be someone that I will just look at and just say, the sooner this guy gets moved on, the better, because his attitude stinks, his body language, is frustrating when things are not going his way. And the amount of times this guy just blames other players, again, that's no captain. That's no top player, Moving forwards onto Mason Mount. Mason Mount was very busy, as he always is against his former club, We know with Mason Mount what he's going to do. He's going to get around, the opponents. He's going to make himself look busy. But the end result with Mason Mount, his end product just ain't there, And again, does he start the final? Because I think on that left-hand side, it's between him and Garnacho. And you would think that because Garnacho was on the bench, he might start the final, But again, another underwhelming display from Mount. He came off, but again, nothing to write home about from his performance for me. Amad Diallo on the other side. Amad looked the most likely player to score for United. Wasn't the usual Amad. There was times where, he was getting caught in possession and getting tackled. But the guy's just come back from injury. He's trying to feel his way back into the side. And again, it doesn't help when this system just sets up for the attackers to be isolated. I've never seen a system where Man United players are so isolated in the channels, And again, as bad as Rasmus Højlund is, the amount of times he's by himself, isolated, again, it's a system flaw from this manager. So, but again, Ahmad had a decent shot that Sanchez saved. And as I said, not one of his greatest performances, but, he was still threatening. And to be fair, I thought he had a decent game, but nothing that I would expect from Ahmad to be having in a sense, And then I've already touched on Rasmus Højlund. As I said, the worst performance, guys, I have seen from a striker. Not just a Man United striker, a striker in general. I think he lost the ball every time he got it. And Tosin Adarabioyo absolutely dominated him. He bullied him, you know. And this is a guy, Rasmus Højlund, 6 foot, you know. He's meant to be known for his physicality and his pace. And too many times this season, he's been bullied and he's just been overwhelmed by a defence. And the funny thing is, you can see that that every defence he plays up against, they know that they can bully him. And that's what happened, you know. And as I said, this guy just needs to be moved on at the end of the season. I don't want to hear no excuses. No, give him another chance. Move this guy on. If Juventus are dumb enough to want to pay 40 million or whatever it may be for Rasmus Højlund, you take 30. You just take whatever is on offer and get this guy out the club. He's fucking shit. You know what I mean? Fucking shit, man. What a poor player. I mean, to think that he cost 72 million, you know, and we don't hear too many people talking about it is an absolute disgrace in itself, you know. But and the subs coming on, you know, how funny is it that the subs coming on? So Garnacho and Ugarte coming on, I think, for Casemiro and Bruno. And as soon as those two come on, Man United concede. And guys, again, if you watch the goal, and I'm glad DXR come out with that, yeah? Come out with Garnacho. If you watch the goal, yeah, even though it was great skill from Reece James, and Reece James is capable of that, just watch Garnacho's reaction. Watch his reaction to when Reece James done that. There wasn't no sort of trying to get back at Reece James and stop the cross. It's like Reece James done the skill, and Garnacho just seemed too happy to let that happen. And again, if that was a certain Jadon Sancho, if that was a Anthony Martial, if that was a Rashford, these fans wouldn't stop talking about it. So I want to hear the same energy for Garnacho, because the way he just let Reece James do that was embarrassing. So let's see if these pundits, let's see if these fans actually talk about that, because that was unforgivable what he done there, you know. And again, Reece James is capable of that, but the way he got in there was just too easy, you know. Ugarte coming on, you know, the guy's shit. Ugarte, he's just someone that just wants to just keep fouling people, running around the pitch, you know, and these fans like it, you know. Again, another guy that needs to be relegated to the bench or moved on, if we're being serious. Kobe come on, no impact on the game, you know. Who else come on? So Aiden Heaven come on. Good to see Heaven back in the squad, back on the pitch. Obviously he's going to look a bit rusty. He's been out for a little bit, and that's it, guys. You know. So all in all, a poor game, and as Man United, a poor performance. You know. And again, Chelsea didn't really play too well. I think Chelsea's standout players for me was Caicedo. You know, Reece James's quality. Obviously, Cucurella got the goal as well. But on the whole, Madueke at times looked a bit threatening. The same with Neto. I mean, Cole Palmer wasn't great in comparison to how he can play. I thought the defense had an easy time. You know, Sanchez didn't have much to do. Enzo was a bit careless in possession, but and obviously Tyreek George, you know, he's not really a striker, and obviously you can see that his inexperience wasn't really that his inexperience showed really. So on the whole, Chelsea didn't do much to get the win, but when you've got, as I say, someone like Reece James there who has that quality, he's going to create something, and which is what he did for Cucurella's goal, you know. And as I said, man, a shit game, one of the worst games I've seen at this season, and another loss for Man United. Ruben Amorim, 17th loss of the season. I mean, Man United are on 39 points, guys. They're not even reached 40 points. Their last game of the season is against Aston Villa. And you would think Aston Villa beat them, because Aston Villa have got something to play for, you know. So Man United, in theory, might not even reach 40 points. Just sack him. I don't want to hear nothing else. Just sack the guy, please. Sack him regardless of this Europa League final. And again, going to this Europa League final, am I confident that United beat Tottenham? No. They haven't beat them since 2022, you know. And again, Postecoglou has rested the majority of his lineup that's going to play on Wednesday. Amorim's played the majority of his lineup, you know. So we're going to see now who's going to be more fresher for that game. And there's going to be no hiding place for this manager, you know. Guys, big up yourselves. 11 likes. As I said, make sure you smash the like button if you haven't done so already. And guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to go through some of the comments. Big up yourselves each and every time. So Sham says, for once, I wanted United to win because I want Villa to get Champions League again. Yeah, listen. Obviously, Villa got United in the last game of the season. Chelsea got Nottingham Forest. And I think you'll have to say as well, Nottingham Forest have got West Ham on Sunday. And if Forest don't beat West Ham, they're out of the Champions League altogether. Because they'll need to win both their games. And then obviously it makes for a tense last game of the season at the City Ground if they beat West Ham against Chelsea. Obviously Newcastle playing Arsenal on Sunday. And if Newcastle win that game, that secures them into the Champions League. And obviously puts them ahead of Arsenal as well. City are not playing until next week. I think it's next Tuesday, I think they're playing at home to Bournemouth. And again, they're going to need to beat Bournemouth to get back into the Champions League places as well. Because I think at the moment, they would have dropped out. Yeah, they would have dropped out because Chelsea and both Aston Villa both won. So I think City find themselves in 6th position now. But obviously, they got the game against Bournemouth at home, which you'd expect them to win and close the gap again. So yeah, guys, it's gonna be a tense finish, man. This is what you want to see. There's a lot of teams going for the Champions League places. But at the moment, Villa and Chelsea are in the driving seat. But again, Man City are going to be playing next week. They've got the FA Cup tomorrow. And as I said, guys, you know, it's not over yet. But Nottingham Forest, for me, have it all to do. They need to win their last 2 games. Chelsea just need, you would say, a point. Villa will just need to better Man City. Well, if Man City win the next game, I think Villa would need to hope that City draw against Fulham in the last game and hope that Chelsea and Forest draw as well. So, yeah, it's going to be an intense finish, man. But big up, Sham. DXR, listen, Højlund's the worst striker in the league. You know, I've said it so many times. You know, that performance was an absolute disgrace. I've never seen a performance like it from a striker. He done nothing right. That's the funny thing. You know, and he's just becoming a... he's becoming a victim. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. He's a victim now. You know, you can see that defenders are looking to just buoy him off, really. Let's be honest. I mean, that was one of the worst performances I've ever seen, you know. And as you said, he is arse, man. He's fucking shit, that guy. Sham says he scored 9 goals before he left. Listen, bro, yeah, I know the stats. He played in the 2 as well. I think with Duvan Zapata for Atalanta, I think he was. Or it might have been Luis Muriel. I can't remember. But to think that this club sanctioned 72 million for a guy that scored 9 goals, you'd actually think that's a joke, you know. And as I said, this is a fan base that are desperate to give Rasmus Højlund excuse after excuse, chance after chance. Yeah, let me tell you now. If this was certain other strikers, they're not getting the same luxury. Yeah, get this guy at the club. He's shit. Get him at the club. Yeah, Spurs got beat 2-0, but again, Spurs changed their whole lineup. I think their lineup was Kinski was in goal. Again, he's not going to play the final. Jed Spence started. I like Jed Spence, but Jed Spence not going to start the final. Davies is not starting the final. Kevin Danzo's not starting the final. And I can't remember. Oh, Reguilon played. And Reguilon's hardly featured this season. So the back 4 and the goalkeeper are not starting the final. The midfield, I think it might have been Archie Gray. I can't remember who else played in there. But none of them midfields are starting because Basuma, Bentancur, and Papa Sarr started. And Papa Sarr might start in the final. So I think probably only one player from that lineup, or 2 players from that lineup, are going to start in the final, you know. And then the strikers was Mattis Tell, Son, and Mikey Moore. So Mattis Tell, I think, will be on the bench, and Son will start because obviously he's the captain. So again, even though Tottenham got beat, Postecoglou has rested his entire team for that final, which tells you that he's going all out for that final. Amorim plays the majority of the players. If you look at who Amorim played today, who's going to play the final? Onana's going to play the final. Harry Maguire's going to play the final. Luke Shaw and Lindelof, I'm not too sure, but I think one of them will start the final. So that's 3 players already. Mazraoui's going to start. That's 4. Dorgu's going to start. That's 5. Bruno starts 6. Casemiro 7. Ahmad 8. Højlund 9. Mason Mount, I'm not sure. So from that lineup that Amorim started today, you would say nine of those players are starting the final. You know? And again, the fact that they got beat, the confidence will be low. You know? And, you know, could they be jaded or a bit tired going into that final? These are the things we're going to find out now. And as I said, this manager has you know, he's made problems for himself. You know, ridiculous. So Gamer says, I see Villa getting through in the Champions League with City and Newcastle. You know what? I think that win for Chelsea today, I think Chelsea get over the line. I know they got Nottingham Forest last game of the season, but they will just need a point, really. If they get a point, then you would say that they're in there. Yeah, I think a point would be enough. I don't think they would need a win against Forest to get in there, I would say, you know. But we'll have to wait and see, guys, because, you know, I think if Man City... Because I think Newcastle-Arsenal game is going to be interesting, because could you imagine if Newcastle beat Arsenal? Newcastle will guarantee themselves. And then if City beat Bournemouth, you know, you would more or less say they're guaranteed as well. Or they're definitely comfortable. And that puts Arsenal into question, even though I think Arsenal will get there, because they're on 67 points. Arsenal would need, if Newcastle beat Arsenal, Arsenal would need to go into the last game against Southampton, depending on all the results, and having to win that game. Who would have thought that? You know, but we will be here, guys. Yeah, listen, Unai Emery is a top manager. He's a top manager, man. He's someone that doesn't really get the respect he deserves. You know, he done a good job at Arsenal, and look at what he's doing with Villa. And the funny thing is, do I think Villa get into the Champions League? I'm not too sure, because I think City have to get in there. There's no excuses. But we're going to see when they play next week against Bournemouth. And obviously Chelsea, because the money they spent as well. And then Newcastle at the moment are in the driving seat as well. So I think Villa might just miss out. But again, who knows? But for me, Emery's building a solid team there. You know, because there's players in that Villa team. Morgan Rogers, Yuri Tillemans, you know, Boubacar Kamara. Like, there's some top players they've got there. You know, Esri Konsa, there's some top players. So he's building a very good team there, you know. Big up to Hamza. Big up Daniela. Big up Barbara. So I Am Titanium says, at least City are out of the top 5 for now. Yeah, listen, bro, listen. Tottenham, Man City will get in Champions League. I can't think of Man City not being in Champions League. And I think, you know, they've got 2 games against Bournemouth and Fulham. And I expect them to win both games, if I'm honest, you know. So I think because they're at home against Bournemouth, you know, you'd expect them to pick up 3 points. And then going into the last game against Fulham, again, because Chelsea are playing Nottingham Forest, you know, I think City might just need a point. But I think a lot of that depends on if Newcastle beat Arsenal, it's going to put up for a tense finish, man. I tell you, but we'll have to wait and see. Hamza says, how is Rice there and Mbeumo and not Caicedo? So, Brian Mbeumo, to be fair, I'm not that dissatisfied with Mbeumo, because Mbeumo's had a very good season. You know, I think even Vissa should deserve the mention as well, because Vissa's had a very good season, especially for goals as well. But him and Mbeumo to get together have been a very good combination. So I'm not too dissatisfied that Mbeumo's in there. I think Mbeumo deserves to be in there. That goes without saying, you know. But the Declan Rice one is an absolute joke. And again, if you watched my stream earlier today and give it a watch, how Declan Rice is in the Player of the Season nominees and Caicedo's not. Again, it's down to him being English, white and English. That's what's happened there. Because, as I said, there's only two midfielders, central midfielders that was picked. Ryan Gravenberch, rightly so, because Gravenberch won the league with Liverpool. Fair enough. But how they've sneaked Declan Rice in there at the expense of Caicedo, at the expense of Sandro Tonali, Yuri Tillemans, you know, even Bruno Guimaraes, you can say as well. All those players have had a better season than Declan Rice. So how Declan Rice is in there is because he's English. That's the only reason. So again, Hamza, if you get a chance, man, watch my stream earlier from today, and it explains why Declan Rice is in there. You know, but yeah, big up yourself anyway. Big up to Makim Newham as well. Gamer says, yo, if Arsenal don't win their next two games, they probably won't qualify for Champions League. That's disgusting. Yeah, 100%. I mean, their game against Newcastle on Sunday is a massive game, because if Newcastle win that game, Newcastle guarantee themselves in the Champions League. You know, they can't be caught if they win that game, and they go second as well, and push Arsenal down to third. And then Arsenal go into their last game against Southampton away from home, which you would expect them to win, but they go into that last game having to get a win, probably to get in the Champions League. Because depending on if Man City beat Bournemouth and Newcastle beat Arsenal, you know, City will be level on points with Arsenal, I believe. Newcastle will be ahead. Chelsea and, if we say Chelsea and Villa, if they both win their games, they could catch Arsenal. So, more or less, if Arsenal get a point, then they're safe. But if Newcastle beat them, it's going to be panic stations for that fan base, you know. So we'll have to wait and see. But big up. Yeah, listen. Tosin done a job on Højlund, but it's not hard. The guy spends half his time on his ass. You know what I mean? I mean, what an embarrassment of a footballer he is. You know, I can't actually believe he cost 72 mil and he's a footballer. You know, there has to be something that's gone on there behind the scenes, because I've never seen a player that bad as a striker at Man United. You know, he's absolutely shit. Does nothing right. So as I said, get him out at the end of the season. You know, and Ineos, if they've got anything about them, they will be seeing these performances from Højlund and think to themselves, yeah, like they've seen enough. They need to get rid of him. You know, big up to Hugh Nandi says, big man ting, yeah. You lot are having a laugh at Arsenal for bottling the league, but next season we're gonna bounce back North London forever. Listen, Hugh, man, if you're trying to cope with the losses, then fair enough, man. I hear you, but Arsenal bottled the league yet again. Champions League, they were never gonna win that. Mikel Arteta, 5 seasons strong, 6 seasons, I think it might be. 1 trophy, which wasn't his team, you know. The fact that you Arsenal fans, you know, I'm not saying all Arsenal fans, but the fact that the majority of these Arsenal fans still think Arteta should be in charge, you know, it shows you why the standards are so low for many clubs. Because I've never seen a manager have this amount of time, that amount of money spent on the squad, but yet Arsenal fans are not writing that the fact that this manager is still in place. It's ridiculous, you know. But big up yourself, man, anyway, for coming on. But yeah, man, look at your team, man, because it's a disgrace. So as Sham said, if Arsenal lose second, then there'll be proper bottle jobs, 100%. And again, guys, I can see Newcastle beating them on Sunday. I don't know why, but I can see Newcastle beating them. I think if Newcastle get the first goal, get an early goal, Arsenal are in trouble. They are in trouble, because I don't see them. I see Newcastle holding on, you know. But I think one way or another, it's going to be a good game, you know. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, listen, Højlund is so bad, man. He's the worst striker in the league, as I said. Big up to Still Arrogant. Yeah, big up yourself, man. Big up for coming on. Guys, again, make sure you smash the like button. Okay, we got 13 likes in there, which is decent. Let's try and get up to 15 likes, guys. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do. I think we're on 1,013. Let's try and at least get to 1,020 for today. So if you haven't subscribed, then make sure you do, if it's your first time in there. And again, guys, check out my other content as well. So Sham says, Arsenal haven't won the league since 2003. Every season is their season, apparently. Yeah, listen, man. Mikel Arteta, man. The fact that he's still in charge doesn't make sense to me. And again, there's been talk about them going for Gyökeres. You know, obviously they're getting Zubimendi. I mean, Zubimendi coming in is just a replacement for Jorginho. And Gyökeres, if he comes in, you know, Gyökeres or Sesko, that still ain't going to be enough to take Arsenal over the line, you know. So we'll have to wait and see, man, what they do. But for sure, man, it's been an embarrassing season for them, but for many teams, Man United included. So Hamza says, Evra was right. Watching Arsenal like watching Netflix, always waiting for next season. Yep, 100%, man. Don't disagree with that. So DXR says, Amorim is gonna get sacked. Listen, I hope you're right, man. I'm well and truly done with this manager. You know, this manager. I mean, to think that this manager's been worse than Ten Hag, like I never thought I'd be saying that. But he's been clearly worse than Ten Hag, and Ten Hag was an absolute disgrace in the end. But this man just topped it. It's madness, absolute madness. But so yeah, yeah. Listen, I don't watch his press conferences. Amorim, I've had enough of the crap, man. Like, you know, these managers just do my head in. You know, all these talking shit in the press conferences. He's just trying to do PR for himself. And the facts of the matters are is that he's lost 17 games as a Man United manager. Oh, well, obviously he's lost, I think, 12 or 13 because obviously, I think Ten Hag lost a few of the others. But the guy's had 6 wins all season in the league. 6 wins. Man United are 16th in the league. It's madness. Absolute madness. Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, Hamza, man, Chelsea, watching that game, I mean, Chelsea, to be fair, weren't that great, if I'm honest with you. I mean, you can see that they need a striker badly. You know, if I look at the wide options in Neto and Madueke, I think comfortably those two would be backup, really, I think. I mean, I think they're decent players, but if Chelsea are being serious, you put Cole Palmer back on that right-hand side. And obviously, if you're not going to... Obviously, it looks like Sancho's not going to be staying, but they could do better in them wide areas for me, you know. So their attack needs to be changed, in my opinion. I think the midfield, when you've got Caicedo and Lavia, I mean, I don't see a better combination in the league than them two. I don't think. Obviously, Enzo can play his part as well. You know, they need for me a dominating, commanding centre back, and probably and a keeper. But I think in the players that they have, Reece James for me, as I said, the best right back in the game when he's fit. Malo Gusto for me, I think he's regressed from last season, but he's a good backup for Reece James. I think Cucurella is underrated, and I think Cucurella's, again, is one of the best left backs in the league. You probably want to get some cover for him. Again, the centre backs, you know, as I said, I don't rate Cole. You know, I think Cole's another passion merchant, really. I don't rate him. Wesley Fofana's your best defender, but he can't stay fit. So yeah, Chelsea needs some improvements. Obviously, they got William Esteval coming in, you know, and it's going to be good to see what he can do. You know, obviously, there's a lot of promise around him, but they need to go and get a striker, really, to help Nicholas Jackson. That's what I would say. Because obviously, him not playing today was a massive miss for them. But I think they got over the line in the end, which was what matters. Sham said, Amorim said he ain't quitting, but that doesn't mean he won't get sacked to be... Listen, Sham, 100%. The fact that he's saying he's not quitting and he comes out... And there was another thing. He said that Bruno Fernandes is definitely going to stay, like, according to him. Yeah? The fact that he comes out of all these things, like... I'm sorry, you got to be looking at your own position because your position is not guaranteed there, you know? So the fact that he's coming out with these things and is not looking at the fact that that Ineos might not be looking at him as the long term, these are the things he needs to be aware of. And now he's doing a press conference, which I'm just going to turn off, to be fair. I'm going to turn this off because I can't stand watching this guy. He pisses me off, man. Yeah, let's turn it off. But... as I said, To find Man United in 16th position is absolute crazy, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Hoyland's a joke, man. He is. Big up to Chris Watters. Yeah, listen, Garnacho, man. I'm done with these guys. The thing is, I can't be bothered to speak about these players, man. These players shouldn't be at the club, and we're gonna see at the end of the season what's really going on. Because if Man United are serious and they want to change things, those two players, Garnacho and Hoyland, should be the first two casualties. You know, because there's no way I'm gonna watch Man United next season with those two players starting. It's impossible. Yeah, man. Big up to Fungus. So, yeah, listen, so I'm not watching Amorim's press conferences. I can't bother, man. The guy gets on my nerves. You know, and this is coming from someone that he wasn't my first choice, but when he came in, I was actually excited. But to think that Amorim is doing a worse job than Ten Hag, yeah, man, there's no point watching this guy. Yeah, listen, Morgan Gibbs-White, he is a good player, but do I think Morgan Gibbs-White should be in the nominees for Player of the Season? Not ahead of Morgan Rogers, and I know Morgan Rogers is in the young player, and I expect Morgan Rogers to win that. But the fact that Gibbs-White was in there and Rogers wasn't, I didn't really get that, you know. But it is what it is. Big up to Ferdinand Ejiofor. Big up to Lauren Birch. Big up to Leo Cairns as well. Yeah, listen, I don't give a shit where Hoyland goes. All I know is that he needs to leave the club. You know, I don't care if he goes Roma or Turkey. Just get him at the club, you know. Because if you're dumb enough as a manager to want to buy this player, then good luck, man. Because, as I said, he's a disgrace. Gamer says Kaka or Xavi. Can't really compare them. One was more of a number 10. One was a midfield orchestrator. So they're not really direct players, in my opinion, you know. But let's just say they were too great to the game, man, for sure. As DXR said, yeah, two different players. Yeah, listen, Ferdinand, listen, you guys, I'm guessing you're a Tottenham fan. The fact that he changed the whole lineup, Postecoglou, it means he means business. He means business. And as I said, you know, he could have played a strong team, but he wants this Europa League. And again, there's going to be no excuse because those players are having a fresh game off. And guys, what's going to happen as well? This is the thing. This is where I'm gonna, you know, this is where I think Tottenham are gonna have their joy. Yeah. To think that we've just seen a performance like that from Rasmus Højlund, who's gonna be the striker on Wednesday. We've just seen him being bullied by Tosin Adarabioyo. Yeah. To think now he's gonna be coming up against Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven. Christian Romero is a shithouse, yeah? And what Christian Romero is going to do, he's going to just barge, he's going to wind up Højlund, yeah? And he's going to be doing a similar thing to what Tosin done today. And then you've got the pace of Mickey van der Ven on the cover. So my thing to you guys is to watch this very carefully. And the same thing happened today. The fact that Højlund can't even hold the ball up, yeah? And he's going to be playing up against two defenders who are better than the two that have just played in today's game. That ball is going to keep coming back and forth, yeah? So it's going to invite pressure onto Man United, you know? So my thing is, if I'm Amorim, I'm not even starting Højlund. At least if you're going to play a false nine to try and pack the midfield. But if he plays Højlund, they're going to be in trouble because the ball's going to keep coming back and forth because you're going to have Romero, that's going to be the aggressor. And again, Van der Ven's going to be on the cover. So again, this game just highlighted how much Højlund is a problem. And if he starts hoiling against Tottenham, them two centre-backs there are going to have a field day. I'm telling you. And it's going to allow the fullbacks to get high up the pitch, and especially Pedro Porro with his delivery to create. I'm telling you, it's going to cause problems. Leo Kern says Messi or Ronaldo. Easy one for me, Messi. But big up yourself. Yeah, longevity is overrated, man. Like longevity has no. So if you're comparing Kaká and Xavi, the longevity doesn't make a difference because, as I said, both are different players. Kaká's a number 10. Xavi was a midfielder, central midfielder. And the reason why longevity doesn't really wash with me, because let's look at Ronaldinho, for instance. Ronaldinho didn't have longevity in terms of how other players, like if you look at someone like, let's say Ryan Giggs, for argument's sake. Ryan Giggs had longevity, but no one would tell me that Ryan Giggs is better than Ronaldinho. Because Ronaldinho, for me, is one of the three best players to play the game for me, you know? So this is why longevity, for me, doesn't really work. Because the way that I look at things is how good was you at that time? And there's no doubting that Ronaldinho was one of the best players that I've seen play. And he never had longevity, if we really think about it. But big up, man, anyway. So Hamza says, being a Spurs fan must suck, no offense. Yeah, listen, it's been a poor season for them, but they can salvage something come the Europa League. And again, if Ange Postecoglou manages to get Tottenham over the line, again, man, you have to give him his flowers. And I think Postecoglou will probably resign as well. You know, I don't think he stays there next season, but he can hold his head up high if they win it and say, you know, he promised what he delivered. You know, he delivered what he promised, shall I say. So, yeah. Nathan's back. So, Nathan says, Caicedo done very well. Arguably one of the best players on the pitch tonight. Still not better football than Declan Rice. Nathan, if you think so. As I said, you know, I gave you the opportunity to have a look at the stats. You know, I don't care about stats. My eyes tell me that Caicedo was better than Rice. Just like a lot of people will probably think the same thing, but the stats actually back that up in the key position, in the key areas as well. So if you think Declan Rice is better than Caicedo, again, that's your opinion. It's wrong, but big up yourself anyway if you do think that. Let's go through some of the questions, guys, before we wrap up. So Makim Nuam says, who do you think the man of match? So yeah, it was. I mean, Caicedo was the best player on the pitch. He was. Him and I think if I'd say, because again the game was poor. You know what I mean? It's a poor game. But if I'm looking at the best player consistently, it was Caicedo. In terms of the quality, Reece James. But yeah, Caicedo was man of the match. Yeah, there's no debate there. So Hamza says, I agree, Chelsea need a striker. I would like them to sign Osimhen. Yeah, I think Osimhen's ideal for Chelsea. You know, again, there ain't too many strikers out there. But in terms of what Chelsea need, someone that's just going to, you know, stay in the box and just want to be goal hungry. Osimhen's probably the ideal one for them. You know, whether they get that over the line, you know, it's something that keeps getting talked about. But I think Chelsea need to just, you know, bite the bullet, man, and just give him what he wants. Because I think that's what they're missing. And I think if they get a striker in, you know, they'll cause problems next season with what they've got already, you know. But again, we'll have to wait and see, man. Because there's been a lot of talk about Osimhen, where he's going to go. But we'll have to wait and see. So Makim says Tosin is our best centre-back. I don't know about that. I think Wesley Fofana is. But to be fair, Tosin is a decent backup. But to say he's the best centre-back, I'm not too sure. But, you know, he absolutely dominated Rasmus Højlund tonight, man. That's one thing. That's for sure. Right, so guys, right, that must be a joke, DXR. Amorim just said Højlund played well just now in the post-match. I can't believe that. I can't believe he actually said that. And if he did say that, get him sacked, because that's unforgivable if he did say that. Guys, is that confirmed? Has anyone got the quotes for that? Is that confirmed that Amorim said that? Because if he did say that, he's an absolute disgrace for saying that. Because I watched the whole game and I've never seen a performance like that from a striker. He was fucking poor. Oh, Gamer, great question. Bale or Hazard? Oh, God. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I hate these ones because the reason I hate these ones is because it doesn't feel right picking one player, not the other. You know? I think to start off, so I'm going to say Hazard, yeah? Because Hazard's one of my favourite players. I think, as I said, as some of you that have probably been watching my channel, for me, Hazard, if we're looking at the three best players to ever play in the Premiership, for me, Hazard's in there, along with Henry and probably Luis Suarez. And it's a tough list to get into because I'm not including the likes of Bergkamp, you know, obviously Cristiano Ronaldo as well for what he done for United. You know, Aguero. There's loads of players that I could mention, Bale as well. But Hazard for me, you know, but it's not an easy one because Gareth Bale for me is probably the best British player I've probably seen. I think in terms of, you know, Great Britain, what they produced, obviously Wales, England, Scotland, Ireland. I think Gareth Bale tops it, and that's ahead of Wayne Rooney. So that's how highly I rate Gareth Bale. But for me, Hazard, you know. Robin or Neymar? Again, another tough one, but Neymar. And again, Arjen Robben. In terms of what we see in wingers now, no one comes close to Arjen Robben. But Neymar for me is generational. And again, the best way to describe Neymar is that if Neymar wasn't in the era of Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar probably wins about 5 or 6 Ballon d'Ors. That's how good he is. So yeah, Neymar for me. Ronaldinho was a pro for 20 years, but the longevity that people use is because if you look at the likes of, I gave you an example, Ryan Giggs had longevity, but longevity shouldn't be used because it's how good you are as a player at that time. And yeah. Big up to Jacob Milner, so I support Man United. Big up. Guys, only 14 likes. Come on, let's try and hit 15 at least. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Ronaldinho would have done more, but he loved to party. He used to go out every other night of the week, turn up Friday and play Saturday. Yeah, of course. But that's what them Brazilians do, to be honest with you. Them Brazilians, they're party guys, you know. Like everyone knows that. But these guys just have some different ability. You know, they can do these things and turn up and be the best players on the pitch. So but yeah, Ronaldinho, man, like, again, if anyone never watched Ronaldinho, I advise you to go back and just watch some tapes of Ronaldinho because the guy was just a joy to watch, man. Unbelievable player. So, DXR, you think it's Bale? Listen, I'm not going to say you're wrong because Gareth Bale's a top player, man. But yeah, I'm going to say Hazard because and again, it's nothing in it. You can if you're saying Bale, fair enough. But if you're saying Hazard, I understand because they were just two top players, man. Definitely. Gamers. So Sham says if they can't replace De Bruyne and another 1-2 big signings, then they'll go for a top. Listen, Man City are trying to get Florian Wirtz and Tijani Reinders. I'll tell you this for free. If they get both players, which looks likely, they're winning the league for the next 5 years. Because to think that they're going to have a team of Rodri and Reinders in midfield, Florian Wirtz in the 10, Savinho, who will get better, Oscar Bob, who's going to be a good player on the right-hand side. Obviously, you've got lots of Foden as well. Then you've got Grealish. Obviously, Doku, I don't really rate who's there. Omar Marmoush is a top player who can play in the 10 as a striker and on the left. And Erling Haaland. And you still got the likes of Bernardo Silva there as well. Gundogan, who will be there, obviously with the experience. If they get those two players, the league's done, man. With Pep as well, who have something to prove still. You know, the league's done. Like, let's just say that. So Composed View says Gareth Bale over Wayne Rooney. What year were you born? Seriously. Again, that's a nothing comment, but I will answer that. So if you think wait, listen, Wayne Rooney, and this is coming from someone that played against Wayne Rooney as a youngster when I was like 13 or 14. So I know how good Rooney was, yeah. But if you think Rooney was better than Bale, then that's your opinion. But I don't agree with it because Gareth Bale, you know, in terms of what he done when he went to Real Madrid, you know, was ridiculous. Let's be honest with you. And again, you're forgetting that Bale was often in the shadow of Ronaldo, you know, but Gareth Bale was so good. And again, not only was Gareth Bale like a complete athlete in terms of his physicality, you know, he was quick, he was strong. Technically, he was probably better technically than he was as an athlete. You know, that's how good he was. And as I said, you know, Wayne Rooney for me is a top player, man. One of the best players Man United have had. But to be honest with you, I'm gonna say Gareth Bale because Gareth Bale was something else. So it's not a bad decision to say that Bale's better than Rooney or the best British player. You know, if you watch Gareth Bale, then you would know that because I watched this guy at Tottenham single-handedly winning them games consistently, which is what got him the move to Real Madrid in the first place. You know, so as I said, no, listen, it's your opinion, man, but I'm just telling you from what I've seen. Yeah, Mark Bartra, I remember that, Sham. Yeah, I remember that. Bale ran off the pitch with his pace and then still scored. That was in the I think it was the Copa del Rey final. I remember that. Yeah. Listen, Leo Cruz, man, big up yourself because Leo Cruz has just said something, yeah. And Leo, if you're still in the chat, you said something important. You see, Ronaldinho. This is why Ronaldinho for me is one of the goats because just like what Leo has said, Ronaldinho was the reason why he fell in love with Barca. Ronaldinho was one of the very first players that was a right footer playing inverted from the left. Because when he started doing that, you notice how a lot of players started doing that. The likes of Hazard, Neymar, Anthony Martial. There's loads of players. But Ronaldinho started that off. Alexis Sanchez, you know. There were so many players that started playing inverted. But Ronaldinho was probably the first player that I see playing as a right-footed from the left, you know. And again, I've been watching Barcelona when they had the likes of Rivaldo, you know, Javier Saviola, Patrick Kluivert. If anyone remembers these players, you know. But when Ronaldinho went to Barcelona from PSG, Ronaldinho was just saying else, man. Him and the front three of him, if anyone remembers Barca back in the day, it was Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, and Ludovic Giuli, if anyone remembers. And then obviously he played with with Messi as well. So yeah, as I said, Ronaldinho is someone that not only made me fall in love with Barcelona, but made many others, you know, and in football in general. Because the guy was just a breath of fresh air and was a top player, man. So, as I said, man, top player. Big up to Daniel Mohave. So Leo says, will Arsenal ever, as currently constructed, will ever win the Premier League? That's an easy answer. Not with Mikel Arteta, they won't. They never win the Premier League with Arteta. I mean, he's been there 5 or 6 seasons, and they've got worse. So the points total now is worse than it was last season. And you're only going to think that Man City will get better. You know, you'll think that Chelsea will be in the reckoning next season. So I don't even think Arsenal finish top 2 next season. I think Arsenal finish as low as 4th next season. You've heard it here first. I'm telling you. And again, Ronaldinho, guys, going back to that. If anyone remembers the game where Barcelona absolutely destroyed Real Madrid, and I remember watching that game, and Ronaldinho got a standing ovation from the Real Madrid fans. And the Real Madrid fans don't normally do that. So, again, that's how good he was. Yeah, listen, Bale was a top player, man. He was clutch. Look at the overhead kick he scored in the final, you know. So Sham says, if Liverpool get the fullbacks they're linked to as well as a number 6 and a number 9 who can score, then we will keep up with City. So yeah, obviously they're getting Jeremy Frimpong. Obviously there's links to Milos Kerkez as well. So yeah, if you get Kerkez and you get Frimpong, again, as the replacements for Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, that'll be good business. And again, they can play the way that Arne Slot wants to play. And again, both players have physicality in terms of the pace, which will suit Slot's system probably a bit more. So yeah, and if you get a number 6, I'm not sure what number 6 you're looking for, and a 9, I think, you know what I think Liverpool should do? They should try going for a Hugo Ekatike. I think he might do well for Liverpool. You know, and get rid of Darwin Núñez, because Darwin Núñez ain't good enough. But I think if they go in for an Ekatike, I think that would be good business for Liverpool. And a number 6, you know, I know Gravenberch is more or less playing there now, but if they can get like a recognised one, probably, then that would add to the squad. But I think definitely they're going to go in the market and sign a couple of players, and I think Kerkez and Frimpong are looking like they're going to be the two at the moment. Gamer says Bale or Beckham. It's hard to compare them really. One was a winger in the Premiership, and one was a right midfielder. You know, yeah, it's hard to compare them, man. But big up. So, guys, before we wrap, big up yourselves. Again, guys, we got 14 likes. Let's try at least get 15 likes. And again, if it's your first time in there and you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. But big up yourselves each and every time. Last question from Leo. So, Leo says, thanks for the shout out. What are 4 teams who might win the Champions League next season? I know it's early, but let's look ahead. Yeah, big up, bro, man. First and foremost, what I will say is, if we look at the 4 teams, as I said, if Man City go and get Florian Wirtz and Tijani Reinders, I'm gonna say Man City will not only win the league next season, but I think Champions League they'll go deep into that as well. You'd have to think PSG will be there again, because I think PSG might go and get a couple of players. You know, I think if PSG can go and get a striker, you know, where I'm not sure what striker they're going to go for, then I would say PSG will be in there as well. Barcelona, you know, I mean, with Lamine Yamal, I mean, you can't doubt Barcelona. For me, Barcelona should be in that final. For me, I think they messed it up in terms of how they played against Inter Milan. But with Lamine Yamal, and obviously he's going to be more experienced, and you would think that Barca might at least get another player. And let's not forget as well, that semi-final against Inter, they had no Balde, who's their first choice left back, no Koundé, who's their first choice right back, you know, and they had a few youngsters that have been getting game time. Lewandowski was injured, you know, so they're going to have players that, you know, and obviously their main keeper, Ter Stegen, was just coming back from injury as well. So they're going to have players that will hopefully be back, and they might go into the market. So for me, Barca, PSG and Man City. And then the other team, you know, I think everything points towards Real Madrid. Because Real Madrid, they don't really have 2 seasons in a row where they've been that poor in Europe. So you have to look at Real Madrid, possibly Bayern Munich, I'm not too sure. But I think for the 3 for me, Barcelona, Man City and PSG. And then, you know, there's other contenders like Liverpool, you know, Chelsea, if they get in there, they might go and spend, but I think it might be too early. As I said, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, they'll be the contenders. Even the Italian teams, Inter Milan get into the final, you know, they might fancy their chances again. But for sure, man, I think the 3 that I've mentioned will be the front runners, you know. So your locals edits do says I want Inter to win Champions League. I think for pure football, I want PSG to win it, because I think they've played the best football this season in the tournament. And so I'm gonna say PSG, but I think it's gonna be a very good final. Liverpool smashed it in the Champions League. We beat the top teams in their leagues. Yeah, but this is why this format is actually quite good, because Liverpool were beating everyone. And if you look at what happened in the end, You know, they got beat by PSG. So it just shows you that that early season form that they showed meant nothing. You know, so but yeah, it is what it is, man. But it will be exciting, put it that way, next season, I think, as well. But guys, listen up. Big up to each and every one of you for contributing to the chat. As I say, some good questions in there. Again, some disagreements. That's what it's all about. And guys, obviously 16 likes in there, which is decent, you know. And again, if you're new in here and you haven't pressed the like button, obviously pressing that like button helps the channel to grow. And again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, guys. As I said, I've got some good content on there. And make sure you check it out. So I'm going to be back tomorrow. So I'm going to go live. We're going to talk about 2 strikers in the Premiership. Again, I've already scheduled it. Alexander Isak and Erling Haaland. So yeah, if you guys do enjoy the stream, check out this schedule for tomorrow. We'll be discussing them just to see who we think the better striker is and why. And again, make sure that you put your comments in as well, guys, and interact in the live chat. And again, Man United, guys, another loss, disgrace. And next game is the Europa League final. Ruben Amorim, for me, has one more game. As I said, I don't give a damn what he does. I don't care if he wins it. He has to be sacked, you know. And guys, as I said, I will be doing a live watch along for that game. So yeah, if you do wanna jump in the live watch along, let me know and I can send you the link and we can watch the game together. The final on Wednesday, 21st of May. But I think I will be going live as well, guys, with Exedra. So we're gonna try and organize a stream for Monday. I'll let you guys know what time that's gonna be on the schedule. So yeah, make sure you guys come in on Monday. Me and Exedra will be chatting about some football. And yeah, make sure you guys come in and obviously give us some support, guys, and give us your questions as always. But yeah, big up yourselves. Smash the like button, subscribe to my channel. And I'm going to catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.